Hey, before you watch this thing, hit subscribe, would you?
I grew up thinking, well, I'm the son of Ivan Reitman, and that's literally the only way anyone will ever view me. And people are going to hate me because of that. And people will think that I'm just a spoiled brat who was given everything, who doesn't know how to do shit. And that's going to be the perception. And then the perception was like the opposite coming off of those few films.
He's not the son of Ivan Reitman.
and then I was
The
humbled.
opposite meaning like, oh, you're almost better than Ivan Reitman.
No. I just mean like, I think you grow up the son of a famous director and just people presume, you don't know how to do shit. Like you literally don't know how to do laundry. Like you don't know how to be a human being.
Right.
And you haven't bothered trying in your life because why? And you probably have an alcohol or drug problem. Like all these things that people presumed about me. Or I thought people presumed about me. And after Up in the Air, I just had films that bombed and films that people didn't like. I got divorced. Like a whole bunch of shit happened that was pretty humbling.
And it was genuinely humbling?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the funny thing is like you get a lead. No, it's all you. We all end up having kind of the same experience. Do you know what I mean? Like All In, obviously, like
and you're talking about like also just like people who got lucky enough to have a hit in the first place. But yeah, like amongst the people who like got to play, yeah,
you end up having 3 killers and 8 bombs,
and
probably what your dad had more or less.
By the way, 1,000,000%, and that's something I've always been fortunate enough in that I got to watch my father and his career and the way he reacted to it, and in real time, and I would see him frustrated over the fact that there was 15 years straight of movies that are just not remembered,
Yeah.
My super ex-girlfriend,
do you think,
films that were just like people just like lost to time and no one gives a shit.
Did he handle it well?
Not at the time.
Did he, obviously you came to understand probably every ounce of what he went through. Could you learn from it and go, I'm not going to do that?
My last conversation with my father was a long, beautiful 5-hour conversation, but a lot of it was me saying, you got to slow down. Like, go see the world. I remember telling my dad, I said, what's a place in the world you've never been to, you always wanted to go? And he looked at me for like a long time and then finally went, nowhere. I said, nowhere? He goes, no, I'm good. He just wanted to go make another movie.
How did he die?
Out of nowhere. Literally, I just got a call the first thing in the morning. He's 75 years old, just woke up. Didn't wake up.
And heart attack?
We don't know.
Okay, well, do you think...
Like that's
Are you trying to avoid that?
I mean, I'm like all of us, or many of us, I'm trying to study every director I know and try to figure out, okay, what is the path? I mean, did you do that? Did you do that with stand-up? Did you do that with comedy? Where you're just going like...
You mentioned ambition as one of your blocks. It's the crossroads between nepotism and ambition, which I think is interesting. And but you kind of, I was more ambitious. I've gotten less ambitious over time because you just go, what kind of life am I trying to live? And what kind of life is worth living?
Right.
Because your dad had from the outside in, an enviable life.
Oh my God.
Anybody who's like, I think I've been everywhere.
Well, particularly where he started. My grandparents were Holocaust survivors. My grandparents, when my father was 4 years old, escaped a small town on the border of Hungary and Slovakia under the floorboards of a boat, And then he arrives in Toronto, doesn't speak the language, doesn't speak English, and he goes on to be one of the most successful directors in history.
Yeah.
I mean, the not only was a success, but the trajectory is insane.
And how about his temperament?
What do you mean?
That's where I get into what sort of life is worth living. What kind of person should one be?
He learned to enjoy it more.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do that faster.
When you say faster, I'm assuming he was in his 60s or something?
I think he began to enjoy it later. And one thing that I think I've definitely started to enjoy earlier is the love of actually just making the movies. And when I first started making films, it really was just outcome based. It's just like, I know where I want to get to, and I think if you had probably seen me on set, you'd see a pretty stressed out, miserable person who's just trying to get to the finish line. And if you saw me on the set of my last 3 or 4 movies, you'd say that's a pretty happy guy. Like that's the happiest I'm.
How and why did you make the transition?
Begin to realize that's actually the best part of it. And for so many reasons. I mean, one, and I think you probably know this bit, is when you're working with talented people, there's a moment where you see them do something special and you realize you just watched something for the first time that everyone else is going to see.
Yeah.
And it's extraordinary. You start looking forward to those moments.
Yeah.
2, when you start realizing that, all right, when you show up on set and there's over 100 people there who are only trying to make you a better storyteller. When I say you have gratitude, it's not like a yoga way. Like you really can't help but have gratitude for this group of people who just are killing themselves. They're waking up at the crack of dawn and ignoring their families and sacrificing everything just so you could tell your little story. Like the moment that actually like dawns on you, you realize, oh, this is a really nice place to be. I'm surrounded by people.
And was that something you were sort of like you would give lip service to early, but then
then you start to realize, oh, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And well, also because the people who I make movies with are genuinely close friends, and I'm not saying like the stars. I mean like my crew. Like these are my close friends. These people I email, I hang out with, I have movie nights with, and so when we go make a movie together, I'm with people I really like.
Yeah,
and so I genuinely learned to love the process and appreciate that.
Don't you want me to feel good? Subscribe.